What we consistently think about shapes the life we live. Our thoughts are not passive. Every idea, belief, or mental image that occupies the mind plants a seed that eventually grows into action, habit, and result. The person who consistently thinks of abundance, purpose, and progress begins to notice those very things taking root in daily life. Conversely, one who dwells on doubt, lack, and fear will often find those negative patterns reflected in the circumstances they face. The mind, like fertile soil, does not judge what is planted. It simply returns what is sown. Whether the thoughts are constructive or destructive, the result is always a harvest that matches the quality of the seeds. There is a powerful law at play. What you dwell upon with emotion and repetition begins to form the framework of your reality. Most people allow their thinking to be guided by external events, the news, opinions of others, past failures. They react rather than direct. But those who learn to take control of their mental habits and deliberately choose uplifting, goal-oriented thoughts begin to shift their lives in noticeable ways. This isn't about ignoring reality or pretending problems don't exist. It's about choosing which thoughts dominate your internal dialogue. Thoughts of progress, gratitude, resilience, and belief generate the emotional and mental energy necessary to take positive action. Action fueled by belief is radically more effective than action driven by fear or doubt. Each day, a person has thousands of thoughts, most of them repetitive, and many of them unnoticed. But it is those unnoticed thoughts that create mental habits, and mental habits create personality and destiny. If someone tells themselves daily that they are unlucky, not good enough, or too late to succeed, they begin to unconsciously live in alignment with that belief. They avoid risks, shrink from opportunity, and expect rejection. The mind always seeks to prove itself right, but the same is true in reverse. Tell yourself that you are capable, that good things are on their way, that each setback is a setup for growth, and you will begin to move through life differently. You'll notice the open door instead of the locked one. You'll take the extra step instead of hesitating. You'll trust yourself a little more each day until that trust becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes momentum. Every breakthrough in life begins with a shift in thinking. It starts when someone decides that the old way of thinking no longer serves them. When they choose to focus not on what's missing, but on what's possible. When they shift their internal language from limitation to potential. That moment may seem small, even invisible to others, but it's the turning point. It's the exact moment when a person stops being a prisoner of their past thoughts and becomes the architect of a new future. This kind of transformation doesn't require luck, talent, or ideal circumstances. It begins with awareness and commitment. First, the awareness that your dominant thoughts are powerful, and second, the commitment to guide them deliberately. That means paying attention to your mental patterns, catching yourself when negative loops begin, challenging assumptions that keep you stuck, replacing mental noise with clarity. It's a daily process, but not a complicated one. Just as a neglected garden grows weeds, a neglected mind grows doubt. But with even a little consistent care, beauty returns. Some people believe that external success must come before positive thinking. But the truth is the reverse. Success is a reflection, not a cause. You don't think positively because your life is perfect. You think positively so your life begins to improve. That improvement may begin subtly, with energy, with focus, with courage, but it soon spreads into relationships, health, finances, and creativity. The outside world starts to shift as the inner world aligns. It's also important to understand that thoughts are not isolated. A single positive thought, held with emotion, attracts others like it. One encouraging idea leads to a second, then a third. A small flicker of hope grows into belief. Before long, the mind is no longer a battleground of confusion, but a place of quiet certainty. People who cultivate this inner clarity are often seen as lucky or gifted by others, but it's not luck. It's the product of mental discipline. Every great accomplishment in history began with an idea held firmly in someone's mind, a thought that was refused to be ignored or dismissed. A thought that may have seemed unrealistic or naive at first, but through repetition and belief, became so powerful that it mobilized energy, people, and circumstances. And while not every thought will shape history, each of us holds the power to shape our own story through the consistent direction of our thinking. The person who decides to think differently about themselves begins to live differently. Instead of asking, "Why me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of saying, "I always fail," they say, I'm getting better with each try. This is not empty optimism, it's mental leadership. Choosing your response, commanding your focus, using thought as a tool instead of being used by it. Change is never instant, but it is always possible. And it begins the moment you take responsibility for your mental environment. The moment you recognize that while you can't control every situation, you can absolutely control how you think about it. And from that control comes strength. From that strength, action. And from that action, change.